Good morning. Good morning. Says an excellent connection, but slow to come through, YouTube. Slow to come through. Man. But it is good. A good morning. Good morning to y'all. Oh, hope you're getting connected. Still working some things. You can see the microphone's here now. I'm trying to get better quality sound. Got the equipment. It's a decent microphone, decent mixing board. All the stuff should be getting better sound. I was listening, and it just sound is all over the board. So trying to get zeroed in on a good sound. I'm hoping to get it locked in. Good morning, Eric. First out the gate, as always, as we expect, first out the gate is Eric making things happen this morning. Hopefully you got in. Eric, I was looking at, it looks like the user profile, your user profile wasn't set up on the web page. I think that's due to the way that we had that code set up. Might have to work with you today, make sure you have the ability to log into the RMF training site. Important to make sure you can get in there. That's important for the auditor of the course. It's important for them to get into the course to look at it. I think that's an important thing. Today, you may wonder, our cup of the day is Wyoming. Illy coffee, warmly nestled in our Wyoming cup. The other thing to remind you guys about, guys, gals, robots, whatever, next Thursday, the 15th, October 15th, is Trivia Night. Getting back on Trivia Night. Trivia Night's going to be once a month now. And I think it's the third Thursday. I think it's the day we picked. Trivia. Can you show your chops? Are you the cybersecurity master? Are you the king or queen of the cyber domain? It's a chance to prove it. Come out and prove your ability to be that master. It's got a weird thing going on there. Yeah. Important to get on there. I don't know if you tried to get on yet, but I don't know that you'd be able to log on without a user ID and the old password. So Trivia Night's coming up. Trivia Night, yeah, that's the question, Alex. We got a different night. Will Mike Bravo show up? Will Sierra Bravo show up? Will either the Bravos show up? Will the Bravos be there? That's the challenge always to them. Ralph will probably be there. Ralph's got it going on. He's got the giant tankard. He's got the Cyber-Recon giant cup that he picked up last time. Not sure if he's if the family's enjoying the coffee. I know Ralph doesn't drink the coffee, but we send him some illy. See what he thinks. We'll see. Message coming in. Waiting for it to come through. There we go. Bravo's like the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, wow. So I think Alex has thrown down the gauntlet. Trying to return to former glories, but others stand in his way. Man, Mike, you got to get back out there, man. Got to get back out there. So Trivia Night is always fun. I think we zeroed in on 40 questions. 4 rounds of 10. Seems to be the perfect number. So we'll do 4 rounds of 10. We'll start at 7 p.m. next Thursday. We'll run 4 rounds. We'll run 2 rounds. We'll do an intermission. Then we'll run the last 2 rounds. See who comes out on top. We've got new swag. Some pretty dang cool cups. You guys saw the giant tankard. I don't think I'm giving that one away just yet. We're going to see how that goes. But there's some new cool cups that came in. New cool cups. Other one besides just the red. I know not everybody wants to do the remember everyone deployed. My pirate shirt all kind of messed up today. Not everyone wants to do the remember everyone deployed cup. So I got some other ones in case you don't want to do that one. Pirate shirt's a throwback to our old Wednesdays. Wednesdays we used to talk about threats a lot on Wednesday, and it seems appropriate today. D is saying it lasts 2 hours, not an hour. I don't know. Hour and a half, maybe. Maybe an hour and a half it lasts. It's a good time though. We get that, and maybe with the intermission, maybe startup time. We usually start about 15 minutes early. We have the intermission, 2 rounds of 10, and then 2 rounds of 10. Maybe 2 hours. 1 to 2 hours, okay. No more than that. It's free. You get a chance to win prizes. Prizes are going out pretty regular now. The D took over. Getting the prizes out. So yeah, today it seems appropriate to have the pirate shirt on. Because we talking about pirate stuff, talking about malware. Egregor malware. Out and about. New stuff. The Kraken. We're going to release the Kraken today. That's new. New Windows malware. And I'm going to talk to APT. We don't talk about this APT very much. APT 32. And we'll turn to MITRE to talk a little bit more about what that APT is. And then CISA, my favorite organization with the least favorite name, of course, is talking about Emotet in the government. If you remember, Emotet is a banking ransomware. It's really targeted at banking. And now it's going after your government. So, man, bad things are happening. We do have our warm coffee, our hot coffee, ready to go. We got our topics spun up, ready to go. People are streaming in. It's time to talk about the news, right? So let's get to it. So what is up first in the ransomware double header today? We got a double header of ransomware. I guess first thing is either thumbs up, thumbs down, or a chat. How is the volume today? I'm trying to get the volume. We had it too high, brought it down. It was too low. I think moving the microphone got rid of some of the background noise. Maybe trying to get it better. The big thing is that you guys don't have to have bad sound. Bad sound's a bad thing. So let me know as we go along what's going on with the sound, how it sounds, how things are. But today, Egregor malware threatens public humiliation on mass media. So really they're taking it to another level. Taking it to a whole nother level. So the article from Cyber Social, ransomware operators are continuously adapting new tactics to force their victims into paying ransom. A few days ago, SunCrypt ransomware operators started targeting their victims with distributed denial of service attacks to pressurize them. DDoS, we're saying, hey, now we're not necessarily even attacking your system internally. The normal footprint. Talk about the first ransomware. They got in, they encrypted your data, not your password. They got in, they encrypted your data with a bunch of high strength encryption key, so you couldn't decrypt it, and you had to pay money to unencrypt your data, get it back. And some people were saying, well, we got backups. We have a backup to that, so we're not worried about it. We'll just recover and not give you your money. So then folks like May said, well, we'll set up a site and we'll steal your data first, then we'll encrypt it, and if you don't pay us the money, we'll post the data to our site. That was the next level. That was May's taking it to the next level. SunCrypt and some other folks, there's been other folks out there doing this. They didn't necessarily get in and get your data to start with. They just said, if you don't pay us the money, we're going to DDoS you. We're going to throw a distributed denial of service attack at you, and you're not going to be able to react. Your site's going to go down, and if you don't pay it, this is if you watched Godfather or any of the Boardwalk Empire, this is old mafia techniques, right? This is like, pay us the money, we'll break your legs, dude. This pay your money, or we're going to DDoS you out of existence. And that was the next threat. And now, this new one, Egregor, is apparently a spinoff of the Schemet ransomware. And not only are they going to release your data to their website, they're going to release your data to social media. So now they've added social media to the mix. So the question is, will social media operators get in and stop this? Can they get in and stop this? Who knows? So now they're going to threaten, not only are we putting it on, dark websites or other sites, they're going to put it on social media sites where your competitors are, where you're, depending on what you're, and they're saying, Cyber saying, Egregor malware threatens public humiliation on mass media. So researchers from Appgate Labs have disclosed that Egregor ransomware has been targeting companies worldwide, is threatening to leak corporate information on sodium, coffee time, on social media platforms where it would be visible to customers and partners. Egregor ransomware is a suspect to be a spin-off of the Schemet ransomware and has several similarities, including API calls, functions, obfuscation techniques, and the ransomware node. Ransom demands payment within 3 days and threatens to leak sensitive data on its own Egregor website as well as social media platforms. That's the new part. We're going to put on social media. The malware news website lists a total of 13 victims so far on their Hall of Shame, including the French logistic company GEFCO. Samples of malware have been located in Italy, France, Mexico, Germany, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and right here in the United States. My goodness. Schemet ransomware that attacks Windows-based devices has been identified targeting several organizations recently, and it's got a list of them here. There's Connecticut-based legal firm, CBK Law. There's California-based Silpac company, and an international IT firm, EXIS, EXCIS, claimed to have targeted them as well. So, modern ransomware families such as Egregor, Schemet, Suncrypt do not use any out-of-the-box techniques to target victims. Their basic methods use unpatched vulnerabilities or malicious spam emails. Therefore, recommendation of patching all applications regularly and using spam filters is the first line of defense. We talk about this every week. Every week we talk about this. Ransomware, there's like the basic ransomware protection mechanism is that 3-2-1, right? 3 backups of your information, of your critical information. It's kept on at least 2 different types of media, and at least one of those is offline. That's your backup procedure. And we know there's 3. Another rule of 3 is the 3 main ways they're getting in. That's RDP connections on the internet, open RDP connections, unpatched software, and untrained users. So then we're seeing that right here, right? 2 of the 3 are the ways they're getting in. They're looking for unpatched vulnerabilities, and they're sending malicious spam emails. Always goes back to these things. Always goes back to the 3 and 3 rule. The 3 and 3. 3 and 3 ransomware. We need to just publish that. 3 and 3. Good. Dee's got some comments about trivia night. 2 hours because of all the banter, chit chat, and fun banter. Yeah, we do have a good time. I think it's a good time. It's a chance to drink a couple beers or your beverage of choice. Time to talk about who knows what about cybersecurity. It's that coffee going again. Coffee is apparently not kicking in this morning. It is a chance for Mako to get his chops in. He loves to stump you guys. Alex, you know that. That's why Mako's on Alex's hit list. Mako likes coming after you guys. Getting you guys stuck with those crazy questions. Yeah. You're right, D. It is. You're correct. I don't see Ferris this morning. Ferris made it yesterday morning. He's a young up-and-coming cyber guy. No, he made it here yesterday. Didn't make it today. So Ferris, if you're watching on the restream, Go ahead and throw a note down. Let me know you're out there. I'm trying to keep track of you, dude. Trying to keep track of you. This one, the Kraken. Release the Kraken. You get that soundtrack. We've seen the Kraken a couple times. Kraken, we worried about, old sailors worried about the Kraken coming out. There is proof that there's some giant squid out there. I don't know if any of them could bring down a boat. Maybe. So, release the Kraken. This is from Malware Labs. And if you guys have ever worked with Malware Labs, you'll know that their articles are very, very technical, generally. They're very technical. So, if you're a programmer, you're a reverse engineer, you're someone who wants to get in that field, grab this article out of the show notes, because this goes through step by step, screen by screen, code chunks of how this thing works, walking through this attack method and how it actually goes. We're going to skip over that part when we're talking this morning, because generally people are not, reverse engineers. Generally, they're not, decipherers of malware. So we're going to talk about the high points of this one. If you do, though, if you want to look at the reverse engineering, you want to look at how this code works, this is a great article from Malware Labs. Walks through it. It breaks it down. Good job, Malware Labs. And a lot of times their stuff is like this. It's just it breaks it down. Breaks it down for those people that want to figure it out. And at the end, it's got the IoT signature. So you want to load this protection. You want to look for this thing. You want to watch for this thing coming in through your threat protection measures, your IDSs, your IPS, your threat intelligence systems, your SOC. You want to have it uploaded. You can load that IoT up. That's the IOC up in your systems, your indicators of compromise, to look for this thing. So Malware Labs is saying on September 17th, we discovered a new attack called the Kraken that injected its payloads into the Windows Error Reporting Service as a defense evasion mechanism. So we know this is, if you're a Windows shop, this is targeting you. If you're all Linux and Mac and stuff like this, it's probably lower on your threat. We always think about threat and that risk profile. Where do we risk rate these things? If you're Linux and Mac, you're probably not as big a deal to you. But if you're a Windows shop, you have any Windows at all, you probably want to be, at least know about this thing. The reporting service, WhereFault.exe, where fault exists, is what is essentially throwing a fault out, usually invoked when an error related to the operating system, Windows features, or applications happens. When victims see the WhereFault.exe running on their machine, they probably assume that some error happened, while in this case it may have actually been maybe targeted in an attack. While this technique is not new, this technique is likely the work of an APT group that had earlier used a phishing attack, enticing victims with a workers' compensation claim. Threat actors compromised a website to host its payload, and then used Cactus Torch framework to perform a fileless attack, followed by several anti-analysis techniques. And the article walks through those all in detail. At the time of this writing, we could not make clear attribution to who's behind the attack, although some elements remind us of the Vietnamese APT-32 group. We don't hear about 32 that often, and we'll talk about them in a second. Sea Lotus is one of their names. So Vietnamese group. September 17th, we found the new attack, starting from a zip file contained in a malicious document, most likely distributed through spear phishing attacks. The document was compensationmanual.doc. And as you can understand, this is a .doc, so it's a Word document, and it's loaded up with a macro that's going to run and do bad things. Spear phishing, very target. We know what that is. That's a targeted attack on specific people, right? And it's different from whaling because it might not be those bigwigs in the organization. It could be system administrators. It could be, depending on what they're targeting, it could be anything, but it's targeted. Where phishing is just a general social engineering attack. Spear phishing is targeting specific people, and whaling is targeting, it's like spear phishing, but it's targeting executives and high-level people, so the whales of the organization. File contains the image tag include picture that connects you to your right to compensation.com, and then downloads an image that will be the document template. And it shows, of course, Malwarebytes, they show the code snippet there. They show a snippet of the page. The malicious macro that uses a modified version of Cactus Torch VBA, or Visual Basic for applications, which is a little scripting language. Module executes its shellcode. Cactus Torch is leveraging the .NET to JScript, or JavaScript technique, to load a .NET compiled binary into the memory and execute it from the VB script, or Visual Basic script. It runs, again, big chunks of code, highlighting where this thing is hitting. When you read an article, it's got it all there if you're gonna look into this code. The serial object in hex format, or hexadecimal format, has been defined and contains a .NET payload been loaded in memory. Then the macro defined entry class Kraken as a value. This value has two parts that have been separated by a dot, the name of the .NET loader and its target class name. The next step creates a serialized binary format object and uses a deserialize function of binary formatter to deserialize the object. Finally, dynamic invoke .NET payload will be loaded into memory. So that's a big old, and that's the high level. These guys at Malwarebytes go way deeper than that. So if you want to dive into this thing, then loaded is a .NET.dll with Kraken.dll as its internal name, and they've checked, and this thing was compiled in June 12th of this year. The DLL loader injects embedded shellcode, where fault exe, and again, they're saying, to be clear, this is not the first case of this technique. We observed this in NetWire RAT, remote access tool, and even Cerber ransomware. Kraken contains the shellcode that will be injected in the target process, defined as where fault exe. The only function calls the load of the loader, and the shellcode loads this process, and then again, more code snippets showing what's going on all throughout this attack process. I'm rolling by just a bunch of code snippets. After resolving the required API call, it creates a memory region using virtual alloc, or virtual allocation, then calls decrypt content and write to allocated memory to decrypt the contents of the final shellcode and write them to create it into the memory. So it's loading it to the memory. So it's not going to the file system, so it's harder to find. That's why they do this. They put it in memory, they put it in RAM, and it makes it harder to find. And then the final shellcode, we finally went through all this process. The final shellcode is a set of instructions that make an HTTP request, or hypertext transfer protocol, to request the hard-coded domain to download the malicious payload and inject it into the process. And we don't, this doesn't say what that malicious payload is, but we've got some indicators when we go to the MITRE site, and we'll go to the MITRE site next because this is an important one. We kind of walk through what's going on here. So the Malware Labs, they go through a great detail of defining what's going on in screenshots and code snippets and all kinds of stuff, even highlighted where specific things are happening. So finally getting to the end of this thing, right? Getting to the end of this thing, they're saying the work of an APT, but which ones? We do not have enough evidence to attribute this attack. However, we found some loose connections to APT32, and we're still investigating them. This is the reason they think it's APT32. APT32 is one of the actors known to use Cactus Torch to drop variants of Dennis Rat. However, since we're not able to get the final payload, we cannot definitively attribute this attack to APT32. The domain used to host the malicious archives and documents is registered to Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. APT32 uses a strategic web compromise to target victims believed to be Vietnam-based. Malwarebytes blocks access to the compromised site hosting the payload. Yeah. That's a good thing to do. Block access. If you're out there and that's the first thing you do, block access to the sites. And then, of course, because they're good, they've got the IOCs, the LUR document, the archive file containing the LUR document, template image, and the archive file downloads. Your right to compensation.com, your right to compensation.com download, all the places. And really, you need to block. If you're going to work today, you're in security, you're in the SOC, you're in network protection, you're in risk, whatever, go in, hit up the network folks, let them know, hey, we need to block egress, we need to block our people's access to your right to compensation.com. Don't let them go to that. That's one way to stop this thing, right? Because that's where they're going to get the loader files from. So they did this article, again, very, very detailed, very in-depth, a lot of screenshots, a lot of code snippets, a lot of information tied up in this article. They talk about thinking it's APT 32. So we know, we talked about this earlier, we know we can go out to MITRE and we can look at their site, right? So if we go to MITRE, we can look at APT 32, we can learn a bit about it, right? So APT 32 is a threat group that has been active since at least 2014. The group targets multiple private sector industries as well as foreign governments, dissidents, and journalists with strong focus on Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam, the Philippines, Laos, and Cambodia. They extensively use strategic web compromises to compromise victims, and this group is believed to be Vietnamese based. And they've got a couple different names. Sea Lotus, Ocean Lotus, APT-C-00. A lot of times I think they've been called Sea Lotus. You hear it a lot. And because this is MITRE, and MITRE does great and wonderful things, it gives the techniques that they're using, right? But if you keep going past all the techniques, and a lot of them are great, we can see the software that this group likes to use. So if we know these guys are going to load some type of malicious code, we can look at the software here and make some guesses to what they're going to do. So use ARP, they use Cobalt Strike, Dennis, Gloopy, IPconfig, Mimikatz.net, a bunch of stuff they use. But as I'm looking through the list, I'm going, what would be the best tool? If they're going to put something on a system, what would be their best tool? And my guess is if they are compromising these systems, they're going to use some tool that comes from Cobalt Strike. So my guess is they'll use Cobalt Strike and Metasploit, that combination, because Cobalt Strike is kind of an overlay of Metasploit, and that's what they'll use to target these folks. And I know that's not in this article, because the article is based on facts, right? This is my guess of what they're going to, given the software that this APT normally uses, APT 32, we can look at the information that MITRE provides us, and we can say, okay, understand where they're coming from, who they're targeting, and what software they're using. And I would think just based on what they normally use, I would think they're probably going to use Cobalt Strike as their first tool to get in and get presence on these systems. I guess. Let me know what you think. Go out to MITRE. Look up, under the MITRE, attack.mitre.org/groups. Look up 32, APT 32. Let me know. Look at their software they normally use. What do you think they're dropping on these systems? And it doesn't have to be, based in fact. Mine's based on an assumption I'm making, obviously. What I think they would use. But throw it in the show notes, throw it in the chat session. What do you think they're using? What do you think they're using to drop on these things? That's what I want to know. So the Kraken's out there. Windows machines, you gotta be on the lookout for the Kraken. And last, Emotet is back. Emotet. Emotet never goes away, man. Always out there. We think he's gone, but he's still there. So CISA is warning, that's the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Terrible name. Terrible acronym. Definitely, don't name, again, you hear me say it all the time. Don't name your organization that ends up with an acronym that's the same as a certification. CISA agency is warning of a surge in Emotet attacks targeting multiple state and local governments in the United States since August. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency issued an alert to warn of a surge in Emotet attacks that have targeted multiple sites, multiple state and local governments in the U.S. since August. Alex, Emotet again. Yes, Emotet. Might as well just have Emotet on there all the time. We thought it went away for a little while. So it's been out there. It's been attacking state and local governments since August. Government's keeping track of it. During that time, the agency's Einstein intrusion detection system detected roughly 16,000 alerts related to Emotet. Right? And we know Einstein. There was a lot of debate when Einstein was put online to keep track of what's going on the networks. Now it's pretty much keeping track of government networks, seeing what it's like a big intrusion detection system. Einstein brings all that information back and makes some decisions, makes data available to key decision makers in the United States and leadership. According to the experts from CISA, the Emotet attacks were targeted at U.S. government entities. Emotet, like we talked about, it's a banking Trojan. Believed to be active since 2014. The botnet is operated by threat attacker tracked as TA542. That's one of the Microsoft weird numbers, I think. In the middle of August, the malware was employed in fresh COVID-19 themed spam technique or spam campaigns. Again, third method of attack, we target the end user. We try to get social engineering on the end user. We try to get them to click a link, go to a website, whatever. Recent spam campaigns use messages with malicious Word documents or links to them, pretending to be an invoice or shipping information or COVID-19 information or resumes or financial documents or scanned documents. So when you get these weird emails that have like an invoice, if you know you're not invoicing a company, don't open it and think you're going to get free money. Resumes are a hard one. If you're in HR, you got all these resumes coming in, don't accept unsolicited resumes. If resumes are just coming to you, someone's sending you a resume, you don't know them. Here's my resume. Don't open them. It's all part of training for social engineering protection. The infamous banking Trojan also used to deliver other malicious codes such as TrickBot or QBot, or ransomware such as Conti, TrickBot, or ProLock, which is QBot as well. Emotet is a modular malware, and its operator developed new dynamic link libraries to update its capabilities. Remember that it was putting pieces of code around the internet, and there was a vigilante that was going out and he was replacing those with weird GIFs. And that was kind of funny for a while. But Emotet's not funny, So alert published by CISA was based on data provided by the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center and the CISA itself since July 2020. A couple quotes from CISA. Since August, CISA and the MSIAC has seen a significant increase in malicious cyber actors targeting state and local governments with Emotet phishing emails. The increase has rendered Emotet one of the most prevailing ongoing threats. To secure against Emotet, CISA and the MSIAC recommend implementing mitigation procedures as described in this alert, which include applying protocols that block suspicious attachments, using antivirus software, and blocking suspicious IPs. According to CISA, the surge in the attacks has rendered this malware one of the most prevalent ongoing threats. Bad stuff, man. CISA and MSIAC recommend admins and users to use anti-malware solutions, block suspicious attachments, and block suspicious IP addresses. Report includes mitigations, indicators of compromise, and the MITRE ATT&CK techniques. So Emotet, you're back, man. You're back, and you're not only targeting banks now, you're going after governments. We know this is the way Emotet works. It doesn't have to just be banking. It could be almost anything. Almost anything, folks. So that's your rundown of what's in the news, and it's appropriate on a Wednesday when we used to always wear the pirate shirts, and we're getting get back to that tradition of wearing pirate shirts on Wednesday. It was in the early days of Cup of Cyber. It was a day we'd talk about threat actors, traditional threat actors, the history of a threat actor, the history of an attack, that kind of stuff. But now we talk about news, and it just happens today that they're all attacks. 2 ransomwares and a piece of malcode. And again, I can't say enough. If you want to get into looking at reverse engineering or looking at code, understanding what's going on, go check out this article, walk through it, see what you think, drop your comments below. How good do you think Malwarebytes did describing the article and providing the information you would need as an RE to start looking at this thing, or you as a coder just to be able to look at this thing and see what it's doing. Oh. Yeah. It is a little short today. You're about 20 minutes shorter than normal, Alex. It's a short run. Everyone can get back to bed. I don't think everybody's up. Everybody's up and running. They're going to make their day go. The day's going to go well. Alex got the dogs walked, got the coffee going. I'm sure everything is good at Alex's house. So it's Canadian Beer Day. Through a link to the CanadianOfficial.ca, Canadian Beer Day webpage. Canadian Beer Day. So our coffee guy gets to dance with the beer bottle. Hey, it's Canadian Beer Day. What a happy day. Look at those. Happy dancing coffee, happy dancing beer. And so tonight, when you finish your good day of good work, making things happen, protecting your system, taking care of your friends, your families, your coworkers, your organization, take care of each other, go out and get a Canadian beer. I had to go out there and see what, I grew up, Foster's was Australian beer, but Molson and Labatt's were big beers I saw, growing up in Montana. There was a lot of Canadian beers that came across the border. So I went out and I was trying to figure out what the top Canadian beers are. And I kept going to these really fancy sites that wanted to look at very microbrews and, all the fancy beer stuff. No, I just want regular beers. And the Ranker showing some beer. Moosehead Lager, number 1. Molson's Canadian, number 2. Labatt Blue, number 3. Keith's Brewery, Alexander Keith's India Pale Ale. That's a long enough name. Number 4. Sheeman's Honey Brown as 5. And Unibro La Fin de Mode, some French beer. But obviously from Quebec where they have French. 7. Columbian Brewery, Kookani Gold Amber Lager. Molson Pilsner is 8. Big Rock Traditional Ale. And we're going to stop at 10. Mill Street Tank House Ale. And obviously the first ones I've heard plenty about. Moosehead, Molson's, Labatt's. We hear about those all the time. So maybe get yourself a Canadian beer. Enjoy the Canadian beer. Eric's going to throw his cents in. Wish we can go back to bed. Yeah, Eric, we all wish we could go back to bed. But we're up now. Let's go make things happen. I didn't see the Bravos on here. They're watching later. If they're watching later, or maybe they're listening to the audio only version on one of the podcast sites that we broadcast to. Gauntlet's been thrown down again, Bravos. Mike, Sierra. Next Thursday, the 15th, trivia night. I don't think I have the trivia. Where's my trivia? I don't have the trivia. Oh, there we do have trivia. Oh, that's that one. Sorry, guys. That's the trivia. There we go. That's the one we want. Trivia night. 15 October, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Show up. Be there. Be square. Get your trivia knowledge on. Win a prize. We haven't got to ship anything out for a while. Wrong trivia night. Join us. Anyways, between now and then, take care of your friends, your family, your coworkers, each other. Take care of your organization. I was waiting for Alex's comment to come through. Bravos are reading trivia books instead of tuning in. Maybe they're reading up on that. Maybe they're reading up on that. Got everybody through. Last night, by the way, yesterday ended the beta run of CompTIA's Cloud Plus. So we should see version 3 coming out fairly soon of Cloud Plus, the version 3. Obviously, we've been talking about it. We've all taken, all the Cyber-Recon folks here took the beta version. Definitely was a different run. It's adaptive. It's got some situational questions in there. Can't wait for the documentation to come out supporting it. See, what they drive on. So, anyways, take care of each other. We will see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Share with your friends. And let me know how you guys are doing. Throw it in the comments below. How you guys doing today? Let me know what you guys think APT32 C Lotus is using for its malicious code. Its loader. What is dropping on systems. Anyways, till tomorrow. We'll be here again 7:30, same bat time, same bat channel. Take care of each other. We'll see you then.